almost made it into the circus.
Did it really?
Yeah, he was in the second tier.
That's a good point. That's why she told from Woodstock.
There's a few times I'll have to slap on a capo, take it off, and make sure I'm in tune. But I just want to make sure I can do this because I'll pick it up if I'm playing really quiet. I just want to make sure I'm not, causing any disturbance.
I cannot hear.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's just what I want to hear. There's nothing.
That's fine. I don't think I'm really going anywhere.
Okay.
I think I'm just staying here.
I did find it in the running order. So is it okay? Yeah,
Unfortunately,
that's fine. I see it. I just read through it. I do remember reading that the first time. I don't know what happened. I sent it to Jim and Yes. Thank you.
Such a talk.
Yeah, the one I have.
I know. Boy, it's good. About those signs.
No, that's mine. It's easy to screw up. Actually, all four
with Caesar Chavez or Rosa Parks that day. Some say Dr. King or Gandhi sent them on their way. No matter who your mentors are, it's pretty plain to see. If you've been to jail for justice, you're in good company. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand. Just sitting there, lie down, always take a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched that picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Well, you're a friend of mine. Oh, you law-abiding citizens, listen to this song. Laws are made by people, and people can be wrong. Once unions were against the law, but slavery was fine. Women were denied the vote, while children worked the mine. The more you study history, the less you can deny it. Right law stays on the books, still folks with guts defy it. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand. Just sitting in and lie down, always make a stand. Have you sung a song of freedom or marched that picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Well, you're a friend of mine. Well, the law's supposed to serve us, and so are the police. When that system fails, it's up to us to speak our piece. We must be ever vigilant for justice to prevail. So take courage from your convictions, let them haul you off to jail. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand. Just sitting in and lying down, always to make a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched that picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Did you go to jail for justice? Have you been to jail for justice? Well, you're a friend of mine. Woo!
Good morning, and welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. My name is Becky Brandt, and I'm a member of this congregation. It is my great joy to welcome you all to this very special service this morning, with many, many thanks to Eric Pourchot for his thoughtful development of today's service, and the many, many individuals that you'll see and hear from today. Whether this is your first time or you've been coming to Mount Vernon for many, many years, know that you are welcome here, and we are glad to have you. We are offering our Sunday services both in person and virtually through our YouTube channel, and we are pleased to do so. We do this to find comfort and recommit ourselves to the mission of supporting one another in our spiritual journeys, to work for justice, care for the earth, and build the common good. We gather to recommit ourselves to dismantling systems of oppression and injustice. It is good to be together. I have one announcement this morning. It's hard to believe that next Sunday is In-Gathering Sunday already. The Board of Trustees and the Program Council hope that you can join us for our opening picnic right after Sunday service next week. Burgers, hot dogs, chicken will be provided along with beverages. If you can, just bring a side or dessert, and thank you to all those who've already volunteered to help. There's still some more opportunities, though, so if you want to, you can see Jim or Linda Burke after church or use the Sign Up Genius on the link. That's next Sunday, right after the service. Continue to look to your emails, phones, and the website for continued updates about worship and other church happenings, and know if you are ever in need, your church staff is an email or phone call away. Our opening hymn this morning is "This Land is Your Land" by Woody Guthrie. He wrote this song in response to being bombarded with Kate Smith singing Irving Berlin's "God Bless America" on jukeboxes in movie theaters and on the radio. Guthrie's original title was "God Blessed America for You and Me." Guthrie recorded only the first 3 verses, which are also found in many school and folk song collections. we'll sing the additional verses that more explicitly point out the inequity of land ownership. Please rise in body or spirit to sing, "This Land is Your Land."
This land was made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, I've followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. Everyone. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
The sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling. As the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign it said, no trespassing. But on the other side, it didn't say nothing. That side was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. In the squares of the city, in the shadow of the Tennessee pole, by the relief office, I seen my people. As I stood there hungry, I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
You may be seated. We have a slightly different order of things this morning, so our chalice lighting this morning. As we light our chalice, we reflect on the words of Victor Hugo. Music expresses that which cannot be said and on which it is impossible to be silent. And on the words of Pete Seeger, the easiest way to avoid wrong notes is to never open your mouth and sing. What a mistake that would be. Now, please rise again and join our voices as we recite our covenant of Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant with each and with all.
Good morning. My name is Eric Pourchot, and I'm a member of this congregation. I'm joined this morning by a very large group of fellow members, and that's a good thing. Singing alone is difficult. There's a famous assignment in some introductory psychology classes that challenges a student to sing loudly on a public bus or train. Most students, at least many students, can't do it. Besides the personal embarrassment, it breaks social norms. Now, on the other hand, it can be difficult not to sing if everybody else is singing too. So singing can create this group cohesion, identity, and focus. Well, how do we find that courage to sing out, literally or figuratively, when we see injustice? This morning, we're going to look at protest songs and how they can be dangerous to the established order and to the singers. Today's service is a mix of songs and stories, and it aims to look at the present through the lens of the past. It draws heavily on the lives and songs of Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger. Now, Woody Guthrie often told stories between songs, and sometimes he told stories instead of singing songs. And that said, there won't be a formal sermon, but rather a collage of perspectives on protest and protest songs. Pete Seeger had a thought on this too. He wrote, "For 60 years, I was able to make a living standing on a platform with a microphone to help, and for an hour or two exploring a wide range of old songs and new songs, sometimes circling around a subject." And Seeger ties this to something his father, musicologist Charles Seeger, said: "The truth is a rabbit in a bramble patch. One can rarely put your hand on it. One can only circle around it and point, saying, it's somewhere in there." So I invite you into that circle this morning.
We come now to our offertory. Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that you, our members, have chosen. During August, our offering is being shared with Friends of Guest House. This nonprofit organization helps female, nonviolent ex-offenders in Northern Virginia make the difficult transition from incarceration back into the community, despite the tough obstacles they face. Guest House, based in Alexandria, has a remarkable success rate with only 10% of its graduates reoffending within a year, compared to about 70% of ex-inmates reoffending nationally. I invite this gathered community to offer whatever you are most comfortable with in spirit and financial generosity for the Friends of Guest House and the mission of our church community. Will the ushers please come forward at this time? And at this time, each of you are invited to come forward and light a candle to commemorate a sorrow or a joy in your lives.
To be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stone together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace. A time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's too late.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. I invite you now to help tell a story. In a moment, I'm going to chant a line and we'll all repeat that twice. and then I'll sing a little bit of a song, and you repeat the last line twice. It's easy, but you also have some percussion work to do as well. But not to worry, our mighty choir will help you out. Now, a while back, a group of people gathered in New England to protest against high taxes they felt were arbitrarily imposed. Somebody probably felt the need to focus and energize the crowd, especially as they faced armed government troops. So perhaps they made up some words to a familiar tune, or perhaps they started to chant with some body percussion. No more taxes! No more taxes! No more taxes! Born from a world of tyrants beneath the western sky, we'll form a new dominion, a land of liberty. So guard your rights, Americans, nor stoop to lawless sway. Oppose, 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 oppose for free America. Everyone, oppose, 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 oppose for free America. Again. Oppose, 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 oppose for free America. Keep that beat going. We're going forward 200 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your dirty war. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your dirty war. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your dirty war. Tin soldiers and Nixon coming, we're finally on our own. This summer I hear the drumming, for dead in Ohio, for dead in Ohio, for dead in Ohio. Hey, I feel a little empowered, I hope you do. So the story behind that is in 1770, British soldiers killed 5 unarmed protesters, and songs about that Boston massacre fueled anger that led to the American Revolution against Great Britain. 200 years later, in Ohio, the National Guard opened fire on students protesting the Vietnam War at Kent State University. So one set of protests helped start a war, the other set of protests helped end a war. Protest songs by Neil Young and Joan Baez, Richie Havens, Phil Oakes, Tom Paxton, Country Joe and the Fish, John Lennon, Bob Dylan, and fill in the blank, many, many more, helped build momentum against the war in Vietnam. One protest song by Pete Seeger almost didn't get aired. Seeger had been asked to do a set on the Smothers Brothers TV show, and that would have been his first network appearance after 16 years of being blacklisted for not participating with the House Un-Americans Activity Committee. So Seeger recorded a medley of historical songs about soldiers. The CBS executives, though, cut the ending song. Well, the Smothers Brothers were livid. They went to the print media, and it took 3 months, but eventually CBS caved. Seeger re-recorded the song, and it was seen by 7 million people. Seeger later wrote, "A month after the TV program, LBJ threw in the sponge, said he would not run for re-election. Did this song help? Who knows?" Here's the song that caused such a stir, "Waist Deep in the Big Muddy," and I'm going to go join my friend Ron.
Back in 1942, I was a member of a good platoon. We were on maneuvers in Louisiana one night by the light of the moon. The captain told us to ford a river, that's how it all began. We were knee-deep in the big muddy, but the big fool said to push on. The sergeant said, "Sir, are you sure this is the best way back to the tent?" Sergeant, go on, I forded this river right a mile above this place. It'll be a little soggy, but just keep slogging, we'll soon be on dry ground. We were waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool said to push on. The sergeant said, sir, with all this equipment, no man will be able to swim. Sergeant, don't be a nervous Nelly, the captain said to him. All we need is a little determination. Men, follow me, I'll lead on. We were neck deep in the big muddy, and the big fool said to push on. All at once the moon clouded over, we heard a gurgling cry. A few seconds later, the captain's helmet was all that floated by. The sergeant said, turn around, men, I'm in charge from now on. And we just made it out of the big muddy with the captain dead and gone. We stripped and dived and found his body stuck in the old quicksand. I guess he didn't know that the water was deeper than the place he'd once before been. Another stream had joined the big muddy about a half mile from where we'd gone. We were lucky to escape from the big muddy when the big fool said to push on. Well, I'm not gonna point any moral, I'll leave that for yourself. Maybe you're still walking and you're still talking and you'd like to keep your health. But every time I read the papers, that old feeling comes on. We're waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on. Waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on. Waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on. Waist deep, neck deep, soon even a tall man will be over his head. Waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on.
There's a story about the Almanac Singers, a rather loose group of musicians anchored by Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, Millard Lample, and Lee Hayes. They had been featuring songs about peace. One song, which would later be used against them by the House Un-American Activities Committee, was The Strange Death of John Doe.
I'll sing you a song, it's not very long. It's about a young man who never did wrong. Suddenly he died one day. The reason why no one could say. He was tall and long and his arms were strong, and this is the strangest part of my song. He was always well from foot to head, and then one day they found him dead. They found him dead, so I've been told. His eyes were closed, his heart was cold. Only one clue to how he died, a bayonet sticking in his side. So those were the kind of songs they were singing. And then one day, Woody Guthrie in late December came to the house of the Almanac Singers shared and said, Japanese just bombed Pearl Harbor. I guess we won't be singing any more peace songs for a while. Now, Guthrie's guitar had the slogan, "This machine kills fascists." It's also on the front of my t-shirt. The group began singing win the war songs like this one. I wish I had a bushel, I wish I had a pet, I wish I had a rope to tie around old Hitler's neck. Hey, round and round Hitler's grave, round and round we go. Gonna lay that poor boy down, he won't get up no more. Not a very Unitarian song. And later Pete Seeger mellowed, I would say. In 1952, he adapted Woody's slogan and wrote on the head of his banjo, "This machine surrounds hate and forces it to surrender." That's on the back of my shirt. I wish the shirt was the other way around. Well, protest songs can expose singers to a multitude of economic and social pressures and worse. In the Great Depression of the 1920s and 30s, mine and mill workers found themselves at the mercy of owners who were trying to make up for lost profits by lowering wages. Some workers literally were starving while working full-time. Ella Mae Wiggins became a speaker and song leader in the union movement. These are her words.
I'm a mother of 9. 4 of them died with the whooping cough all at once. I asked the super to put me on the day shift so I could tend him, but he wouldn't. I don't know why. So I had to quit my job, and then there wasn't any money for medicine, so they just died. I never could do anything for my children, not even keep them alive, it seems. That's why I'm for the union, so I can do better for them. Ella Mae sang about the conditions in Luray, North Carolina, with songs like this one, Mill Mother's Lament. Ella Mae was escorting a group of workers to a union meeting and planning to sing more songs like that one. They ran into a roadblock set up by men on the textile mill's payroll. They turned back, but her truck was forced off the road and she was shot to death. Despite eyewitnesses, the mill paid for a defense attorney, and probably the jury, and no one was found guilty of her murder.
Woody Guthrie saw this sort of injustice in his travels throughout the American Dust Bowl in the 1930s. As he wrote in the song, "This Land Is Your Land," property owners got protection from the government and the law, rather than the common people. He elaborated on that injustice in his song, "Slipknot."
Have you ever seen a hangman tie Slipknot? Well, I've seen it many a time. Then he whines and he whines, and after 13 times he's got a slip knot. Tell me, will that slip knot slip? it will not. Tell me, will that slip not slip? No, it will not. It'll slip around your neck, but it won't slip back again. That slip knot, Lord God, that slip knot. Have you ever lost a brother on that slip knot? Have you ever lost a brother on that slip knot? Yeah, my brother was a slave, and he tried to escape. They drug him to his grave with a slip knot. Have you ever lost a father on that slip knot? Have you ever lost a father on that slip knot? Yeah, they hung him from a pole and they shot him full of holes, and they left him there to rot on that slip knot. For that slip knot. Tell me who makes the laws for that slip knot. Oh, who says who is going through the calaboose to fetch the hangman's noose with the slip knot? I don't know who makes the laws for that slip knot. I don't know who makes the laws for that slip knot. Oh, but the bones of many a man are whistling in the wind because they tied their laws with a slip knot. Oh, the bones of many a man are whistling in the wind because they tied their laws with a slip knot. Oh, because they tied their laws with a slip knot.
As mentioned earlier, the recording of the strange death of John Doe was used by Congress as evidence of anti-American activities by the Weavers. Despite being the biggest stars for Decca Records with hits like So Long It's Been Good to Know You, Zaina, and Kisses Sweeter Than Wine, the Weavers were the only group to be officially blacklisted. But many others were swept up in the Red Scare. A 1950s U.S. Army pamphlet on how to spot a communist includes the advice that communists may show an interest in folk dancing or folk music. The blacklisted names read like a virtual who's who of folk artists such as Leadbelly, Dave Van Ronk, Harry Belafonte, Burl Ives, Josh White, Sis Cunningham, Ronnie Gilbert, Cisco Houston, Alan Lomax, as well as musicians such as Billie Holiday, Lena Horne, and Artie Shaw. Now, Woody Guthrie was not on that list, but only because by then, he was terminally ill and no longer performing.
The use of protest songs in the civil rights movement has been well documented. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. observed that freedom songs are playing a strong and vital role in our struggle. They give the people new courage and a sense of unity. I think they keep alive a faith, a radiant hope in the future, particularly in our most trying hours. A notable song from this movement was We Shall Overcome, an African-American hymn adapted by Pete Seeger and others. Please rise and join in the singing of number 169 in our hymnal, and feel free to make some harmony. If the note you sing doesn't sound right, find another that does.
Thank you. You may be seated. In the early days of World War II, Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie helped stave off a mob that was surrounding a Japanese business in California with the song, "We Shall Not Be Moved." Their victory, though, was short-lived. Shortly afterwards, 140,000 Japanese Americans from the West Coast were moved into we saw this in Wyoming, and it still gets me. They were moved into concentration camps. 2/3 of those 140,000 were U.S. citizens. In Woody Guthrie's travels, he saw how migrant and immigrant workers were treated. His song, "Deportee," written 75 years ago, captures the hypocrisy of immigration laws.
Crops are all in and the peaches are rotting. The oranges are piled in their creosote dumps. They're flying them back to the Mexican border to pay all their wages to wait back again. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee. Some of us are illegal by the river. They took all the money he made in his life. My brothers and sisters come work in the fruit trees. They rode in the truck till they took down and died. Some of us are illegal and some are not wanted. Our work contract said, and we might have moved on. 600 miles to that Mexican border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers, like thieves. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee. We died on the hills and we died in your deserts. We died in your valleys and died on your plains. We died neath your trees and we died in your bushes. Both sides of the river, we died just the same. The sky plane caught fire over Los Gatos Canyon. Fireball of lightning, it shook all our hills. Who are all these friends, all scattered like dry leaves? The radio says they are just deportees. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee. Is this the best way we can grow our big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow our good fruit? to fall like dry leaves, to rot on the topsoil, and be known by no name except deportees. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee.
The singers of songs, such as we've heard today, risked a great deal. Major record companies, radio and TV stations, music halls, and sponsors did not want to be associated with anti-American voices. Protest singers were relegated to singing in union halls, college campuses, or for children's audiences. Although the House Un-American Activities Committee is no longer active, we have recently seen an administration ready to put pressure on singers such as Bruce Springsteen and Taylor Swift, merely for taking public stances against the administration. During the heyday of folk music in the 1960s, Johnny Cash offered these words of advice to folk groups.
Singing folk group, they sang the mountain ballads and the folk songs of our land. They were long on musical ability, folks thought they would go far, but political incompatibility led to their downfall. Well, the one on the right was on the left, and the one in the middle was on the right, and the one on the left was in the middle, and the guy in the rear was a Methodist. This musical aggregation toured the entire nation, singing traditional ballads and the folk songs of our land. They performed with great virtuosity, and soon they were the rage, but political animosity prevailed upon the stage. Well, the one on the right was on the left, and the one in the middle was on the right, and the one on the left was in the middle, and the guy in the rear burned his driver's license. Well, the curtain had ascended, a hush fell on the crowd, as thousands there were gathered to hear the folk songs of our land. But they took their politics seriously that night at the concert hall. As the audience watched deliriously, they had a free-for-all. Well, the one on the right was on the bottom, and the one in the middle was on the top, and the one on the left got a broken arm, and the guy in the rear said, "Oh dear." Now this should be a lesson. If you plan to start a folk group, don't go mixing politics with the folk songs of our land. Just work on harmony and diction, play your banjo well, and if you have political convictions, keep them to yourself. Now the one on the left works in the bank, and the one on the right's an all-night DJ, and the guy in the rear got drafted.
Indeed, singing dangerous songs, getting supported by mainstream media. Emma's Revolution may not have their own HBO special, but you can hear them at churches, rallies, and of course online. Here are some lyrics Woody Guthrie penned about his landlord when he found out that only whites could rent in the New York apartment complex where he lived. I suppose that old man Trump knows just how much racial hate he stirred up in that blood pot of human hearts when he drawed that color line here at his Beach Haven family project. Beach Haven ain't my home. No, I just can't pay this rent. My money's down the drain, and my soul is badly bent. Beach Haven is Trump's tower, where no black folks come to roam. No, no, old man Trump, old Beach Haven ain't my home.
Well, Guthrie did not set those words about Fred Trump, the president's father, to music, but other musicians have in more recent years. And I wonder if I would have the courage to sing or write it about my landlord, or about a powerful mine owner, and would it make a difference? Well, Pete Seeger certainly felt that each of us, each of our small voices, could add up to a roar. Just my voice can't shout to make them hear. Just your voice can't shout to make them hear. But if 2 and 2 and 50 make a million, we'll see that day come round. We'll see that day come round. Well, in high school, I marched in some Vietnam protests, and we were filmed by undercover agents. So I know that somewhere there's a file on me, and we knew that at the time, so we were taking a little bit of a risk. But would I go to jail for justice? I don't know. I believe in the rule of law, that social contract that we all play by the same rules, even if we don't agree with them. But as that ingathering song stated, laws are made by people, and people can be wrong. I think of that wise prayer, give us the serenity to accept what cannot be changed, the courage to change what can be changed, and the wisdom to know the one from the other. Or to everything there is a season, perhaps. I'm still working on the courage part of that one. Now, though we've been looking mostly at songs and stories from 50 years ago or more, I hope that you've recognized that the same conditions and laws that allowed for blacklisting, government and corporate pressure, and even putting U.S. citizens into internment camps are still here today. If a U.S. citizen can be detained for days without due process, simply for having brown skin or speaking Spanish, if expressing sympathy for residents of Gaza can be labeled as anti-Semitic, or if a star quarterback becomes a commercial liability for expressing solidarity with Black Lives Matter, we must all be vigilant and speak up. All across the country this summer, for No King's Day, a lot of songs from the 20th century protests were fitted with new words. In the streets of Los Angeles, there were mariachi bands and ballet folklorico groups that demonstrated that Spanish-speaking peoples had been in California long before it became a U.S. state. And so, as Pete Seeger wrote, the right song at the right time can inspire people to move mountains. You can't change everything, but find your cause, make some noise, be maladjusted, and sing out.
We invite you now to rise as you're willing and able to join in singing If I Had a Hammer. The words are in the insert in your order of service. You have a song to sing all over this land.
If I had a hammer,
and the sisters all over this land.
Well, I got
Please join me in reciting the words we use each week to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our benediction today comes from Claude Stein. Singing can give us the courage to communicate, the courage to explore our fear and not be run by it, the courage to free our inner voice and be of our more full, whole selves, to own our vulnerability and thereby become more powerful. That's what we're all after, the courage and the willingness to open our mouths and be seen and heard as the wise yet imperfect humans that we are, to be welcomed and appreciated and not have our worthiness affected or invalidated. We invite you to stay seated for the postlude. As we have heard many times from this pulpit in recent years, we must be careful not to preach to the choir, to speak only to those who believe as we do, to sing songs with which we all agree. The late Tom Lehrer, who battled with censorship himself, offered some suggestions, accompanied on what he called his 88-string guitar.
So those of you of ancient age like me will remember those protest songs of the 1960s. They were all about, peace and justice and brotherhood and so on. This is Tom Lehrer's take on those folk songs. We are the folk song army. Every one of us cares. We all hate poverty, war, and injustice, unlike the rest of you squares. There are innocuous folk songs, yeah, but we regard them with scorn. The folks who sing them have no social conscience. Why, they don't even care if Jimmy cracked corn. If you feel dissatisfaction, strum your frustrations away. Some people may prefer action, but give me a folk song and you'll obey. The tune don't have to be clever, and it don't matter if you put a couple of extra syllables into a line. It sounds more ethnic if it ain't good English, and it don't even got a rhyme. Remember the war against Franco. That's the kind where each of us belongs. He may have won all the battles, but we had all the best songs. So join in the folk song army. Guitars are the weapons we bring to the war against poverty, war and injustice. Ready, aim, sing!
coffee time.